Hey everyone, happy Friday. It is time for another episode of, you guessed it, Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So as you can see, the motor went in the 67 Beetle today. I think yesterday I had mentioned maybe doing it today, maybe doing it tomorrow, Saturday, maybe doing it Monday, doing it sometime soon. But Jacob came in today, so I thought, I can put a motor in by myself, no problem, do it all the time, but it's definitely more handy to do it with two people, just to have another set of eyes and stuff. So yeah, Jacob and I went ahead and put it in, and went in without any real fuss per se. Pretty much the motor, we'd done everything on it that could conceivably be done on the test stand, as far as tuning it up and stuff like that. So we had the breastplate off and the fresh air hoses, all that stuff out of the way. And then we went and put on the front engine tin, the one that goes on the, the firewall side. And pretty much like that, stuffed it in there. And yeah, like I said, it went in fairly easily as they go. So that's good. And then after that, I went ahead and had Jacob go ahead and install the breastplate and install the fresh air hoses and stuff like that. And started installing these little things here with those insulators on them rather. So those are pretty much on. They just need to be screwed on now. Two screws go here, and then one goes into the cylinder tins on each of those. So yeah, it's pretty much in. So just a matter of now of hooking it up the rest of the way, electrically and otherwise, throttle cable, all that stuff, the hard fuel line, hooking it up to the body with a filter up underneath there. Yeah, so I don't think we have bled the brakes yet on this car, but we'll probably, I honestly don't remember. I don't think we have, but we'll probably go ahead and do that very soon then. Because at that point, we'll put the gas tank in. Again, I don't like to put the gas tank in until the brakes are bled, just because I really like to be able to see the master cylinder, check for leaks, etc., before the gas tank goes in, because then you're going at all that stuff from the side. So much handier to bleed the brakes and be able to keep an eye on the master cylinder when the tank's out. So that's kind of the order I like to do things in. So yeah, next major thing we'll do is bleed the brakes. Then tank can go in, hook up the fuel system, and this thing will be up and running here before we know it. So pretty excited to get back on this one. It's been a little neglected for a little while, but projects are always kind of like that. We're like hot and heavy on a project, and then kind of get onto another project for a while, and then come back, and so on and so forth. So this one's time has come again here. So be semi-focused on this one, pretty much between this one and the barn door here, probably in the coming weeks or so. And again, hoping to get the long block for this one maybe next week, so then we'll have that one to also focus on. So pretty much this will be the row here that we're focusing on. So this car is done, and pretty much just waiting for him to schedule when to pick it up now. This one, as I mentioned, the world famous Devil bus is done, waiting for them to come and get it. And as you can see, the split window, the black 52 rag top, is gone. So he went ahead and sent a flatbed tow truck today, and they hauled it off. He's down in San Clemente. He didn't really want to drive it down there on the freeway, which I can't blame him with only 25 horsepower. You can, but the car's not registered. And so yeah, he just went ahead and flatbedded it. And then sounds like he's been driving it around his neighborhood and then grinding gears and stuff with his non-synchro box, and sounds like he's really happy with his car. So good for him. Glad to get it back to him. But yeah, so that was kind of the major accomplishment for the day, I guess, getting this one that much closer. So other than that, I again focused on the motor for the Barney, as some people like to call it, barn doors, Barney, get it? So the Barney's motor here, the 1500cc 36 horse. So yesterday I had blueprinted the main bearings on the crank and was pretty happy with those values. So today I went, initially, first thing I did was actually put the crank in, so nothing else, just the crank and its bearings, put it in, torqued the case down. It spun really nice, felt great. So after that, took the whole thing apart again, and then turned my attention to the connecting rods. So again, blueprinted the connecting rods, and you can see those values here. So the rods themselves, the rod journals, the bearings. So the crank bearings were a little bit looser than I was hoping for. So they're like 4.5 thou or so, give or take. 4.4 thou, 4.8 thou, 4.4, 4.7. Again, I like closer to 3 in an ideal world, but under 5 is still okay. It's well within the tolerance spec. So these numbers are okay. I'm not going to bother trying another set of bearings. But again, this is why we blueprint things, because we know exactly what we've got here. There's no guessing whether they're way too loose or way too tight or anything like that. We've got the numbers. So I love blueprinting motors. No guessing. Not worth it. So yeah, after I got the rods all blueprinted and was happy with them, I fit them to the crank. Made sure that they would, sort of flop around nicely and feel smooth and all that good stuff, which they do. And then I dropped the assembly crank, so again, crank with rods on it. Dropped it in the case, torqued the case halves down together, and then went ahead and slipped a piston and cylinder on the number 1 here. And then basically like tightened it down to the head with the piston still exposed. So pretty much what you do here is you want to make sure that the cylinder is fully seated against the case here. So for that, you can't just push it down and let it sit there. You need to actually like compress it with some hardware. So combination of, tubes and stuff like this and plates on here and washers. You do what you got to do to push down on the cylinder so that it's firmly seated against the case. And then what you do is you take an indicator of some sort and you find where top dead center is. So in this case, right there. And then you just take another handy dandy measuring device, drop it down here, and then measure your deck height. So the deck height, of course, is the distance between the rim of the cylinder and where the piston is when it's at top dead center. So this ended up being just over 10 thousandths of an inch. So on a high performance, gigantic motor with, like 1600 base, where the cylinder heads have what's called quench area on them and stuff like that, I like to run a much tighter deck, as does pretty much anyone that builds performance motors, closer to like 40 thousandths or so. This one, it's about 1/10 of an inch. However, these heads, let's see, I think I have a 36 horse head here somewhere. These heads are like more like a pent roof. They don't really have any quench area per se. So having, at least in my mind, having a little bit of a high deck height doesn't really matter, because you're not really trying to quench anything here. You basically got this huge chamber which almost takes up the whole area of the piston. So quench isn't really so much a thing like it is where you've got a huge flat spot on the edges of the cylinders and you want the piston coming as close to those as possible. So not really a big deal. The chamber volume, I haven't measured it. Clyde Berg is supposed to do that for me, but we're thinking it's about 45 cc's. I read somewhere that it's 47. So somewhere around there. If we assume it's 47, then with the deck height we have here and the geometry, the stroke, everything else, we end up, I think it was like 7.2 to 1 compression, which I think is probably going to be about right for this motor. So we'll see. But yeah, we may not have to really do any machining per se as far as like fly cutting the heads or opening them up a little bit more. I was kind of thinking about 7, maybe 7.5 to 1 compression on this. So we'll see. I'm going to do a little bit more research, talk to a couple more people who have experience with performance 36 horse motors, and then make some kind of decision here. But yeah, we're definitely very close here with this amount of deck height and stuff. pretty much right in the ballpark where we need to be. So that's great news. And the other good news is, thanks to the awesome pistons that Brothers Machine Shop makes, despite this motor having 10 millimeters more of stroke than a stock 36 horse, it is going to be completely stock width. So the piston they make has the wrist pin offset so that you don't have to like space the cylinder and everything out to accommodate the fact that the connecting rod is coming out 5 millimeters further on each side. So stock width motor, but 1500 cc's versus basically 1200. So super cool that Renato over at Brothers Machine makes these pistons. They are awesome and let us make a motor that's stock width. We don't have to, sort of like elongate the cylinder tins to close that gap or any nonsense like that. It'll be, again, since it's the right width, it's going to fit beautifully in the engine compartment just like a stock motor, but hey, it's going to have, whatever that ends up being, 20-25% more displacement. So bitchin'. Anyway, I think that is actually it for today, guys. Some pretty good headway on this, and then huge accomplishment there on the 67 as far as getting its motor installed. And that's it. So tomorrow, Saturday, I will be in probably more than half a day, which is kind of my usual Saturday, but I need to kind of make up for the fact that I took some time off last week and early this week for visiting family. So as anyone who owns their own small business knows, if you're not here, you're not the shop, the company is not making any money. So I need to kind of make up some time. So I'll be here probably most of the day tomorrow, and of course we'll film another video. And likewise, I'll probably be here most of Monday, Labor Day, despite it being a holiday, again, for kind of the same reasons. So that is it for today, everyone. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.